Hey everybody. I'm pretty annoyed right now. This is not gonna be safe for work. Like most videos, I'm not gonna. This is bare bones, me ranting. But this one really hit close to home, and it pretty much annoyed me. If any of you follow my Twitter, the last 3 things I put up, and I'm not gonna put something on for the next 2 or 3 days so you can see the 3 pictures I put up, pretty much bothered the hell out of me. I live in Washington Heights, and one of the things that I loved about this place is that you're able to get, you know, fresh produce pretty cheaply from licensed vendors on the street. And it's much like if there's a farmer's market or not. Now, what happened today is nothing more than a legal shakedown. From 186th Street all the way down to 179th Street, and maybe even farther, in St. Nicholas Avenue in New York City, I was walking by and I saw police officers, Department of Environmental Protection workers, and sanitation in conjunction together. They were taking fresh produce, even food from vendors, and dumping them out in trucks. Completely adequate, fresh food that could have gone to people who needed them the most. So, I was outraged at first, and people were shocked. And people got around to see what the hell was happening. I took 3 pictures, possibly even more, but I put out enough pictures to show the gist of it. Here's the problem. People are trying to make an honest living selling produce. A lot of times they compete with the prices of supermarkets, and sometimes even the grocery stores that have them in front of them even endorse, even help them out to sell the excess amount of produce. Me myself, I bought, like, with $10 I was able to buy over 50 pounds. No, about 40 pounds of produce that I use for juicing and for health, to juice for, you know, health juices and all that stuff. Now, I did my research. I asked for the officers. I talked to 5 or 6 of them just to make sure that all the stories are, you know, nothing deviates. So apparently, here's the thing. They have the license to sell the fruit, but apparently you don't have the permit in order to sell it on the sidewalk or anywhere, except you have the right to, but you can't do it there. Okay, and maybe blocking the sidewalk. Okay, that's one thing. But here's the problem. Most of these vendors had the permit in order to sell on the sidewalk, and some of them had them expired, but only expirations by 1 day, and they were in the process of them being renewed. Instead of having the leeway that they usually have, the grace period before them taking action, abruptly the city decided to throw them all out. On the street, not only confiscate what they had, fine them, and sometimes even jail some of the vendors themselves. Now, you're saying, but if they have the permits, what seems to be the problem? Well, this was the day that they wanted to cherry pick everything. So even vendors who had carts and they were saying, let's say, some fried turnovers in the street, or the Caribbean equivalent called pastelitos and empanadas, were also arrested, fined, and confiscated and thrown out their food out into huge trucks. Why? They said, oh, guess what? It wasn't visible, so now we're going to give you a fine and something to still throw out your stuff. Terrible. Very terrible. And what's even worse is that the officers and all these resources and time being put into this that could have been done with something that is more addressed into the city, with things that have been drugs and other violations which are more pertinent, was spent on this. And keep in mind, the officers themselves did not like doing this. Not even the sanitation workers. They knew the amount of waste that was being out there. This is tons of food getting thrown out, because now it is policy to not let them packing it up, but to throw it out immediately. Fresh food. Before, it was a city policy in order to donate it to soup kitchens and food banks in places that people will need it and have access to. But now, the city actually spends money to throw them all out. How does that help your community? How does that help in the city? So I tell you, and everyone here, like, what the fuck is actually going on? These are things that need to be taken care of in the first place. Now, knowing all of this, it disgusts me to a point that the system is actually geared to be doing this in the first place instead of helping people out. If there's a problem, give them the opportunity to go away and do what they needed to do. But that doesn't seem to be the case. So, I can't really say much. Except, like, this is just stupid. What the fuck?